He worked with the Orioles. He worked with the Expos. He was with the Dodgers. He was award-winning. But when he left baseball, he found a new direction for his life. And that is why we invited him to the show. So we're pleased to welcome now a former GM and executive vice president of the Dodgers, Kevin Malone. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, why don't we start with a baseball question? How much do you still get to pay attention to baseball?
Well, I try to still have some friends in the game, either players, coaches, managers, front office executives. So I don't really follow a team per se. I guess the Dodgers would still be my team, but I follow individuals and, cheer for those guys that I know. And I think, there's a lot of exciting baseball going on right now, a lot of things to talk about, the Dodgers being one. A lot of the rookies coming through in big ways with walk-off home runs, and the pitching has been great. There's just a lot of positives in the game right now, and I know we've got to clean up the foul ball situation with the fans getting hit. So hopefully they'll put nets up all around the league and all the stadiums to protect our fans.
What is the biggest difference between the time that you were the general manager of the Dodgers and in the game, because you were in the game for a while, and the game that you say now is exciting, but there are a lot of differences. So what is the biggest?
Well, I think the approach is different now. I think there's a lot more Ivy League educated young men running major league teams. It seems like there's a lot more statistical analysis used. There's a lot more various kind of stats and different things that people are looking at. It seems like there's less people looking at the kind of the heart of a man, the determination, the work ethic, the winning attitude, and some of those intangibles. Everything is now focused on metrics and measurements and statistics, and that's all good. But I think sometimes that's overdone. So I think even putting teams together now are put together in a way that are statistically dominated. And again, to some degree, that's great. In other ways, I think you miss out on some key people that can be an integral part of a successful championship team because of their heart, the way they play the game, the type of teammate they are, the way they can raise their game when you need it. And a lot of times stats won't tell you all of that.
That's true. The formulas, the mathematical formulas don't measure heart. They don't measure how athletes perform under pressure necessarily. Yeah. They don't measure desire. So I always say that too. We're spending a few minutes with former Dodgers general manager Kevin Malone, who is now following a new passion, has been for several years. It's After Hours with Amy Lawrence on CBS Sports Radio. So when you left baseball, you were part of an initiative to found the U.S. Institute Against Human Trafficking. This is a drastic change from baseball, Kevin. What drew your attention and made you decide this was what you wanted to do?
Well, I have to give the Lord the credit for that, Amy. I think that God was calling me to do this. I was known in baseball as a battler, as a fighter, as a competitor, and I think God kind of prepared me for this opportunity. And I had a lot of different experiences and different skill sets that could be utilized in this fight against child sex trafficking in America. And so I think that, I just sought God on this, to be completely honest with you. And I believe God was saying that I want you to be a voice for the voiceless. There's tens, if not hundreds of thousands of American children being raped every day for profit. And somebody needs to stand up for these. Somebody needs to fight for these kids, to protect these kids. We're called to be protectors, not predators, but we have a pandemic problem in America, Amy, right now with men paying to rape children all across the country. It's not talked about much because it's so evil, it's so dark, it's so perverse, but we have a huge problem in America, and we need to wake up and do something about it. We need to get outraged about this. We're outraged about every other thing on the face of the earth, but when it comes to kids, I rarely hear anybody talking about the sexual abuse, the trafficking, the way kids are being, taken advantage of. So I believe I'm called to be a voice for the voiceless, as I said. And, God says, set the oppressed free and rescue the innocent. And I think that's what I'm trying to do. And, And that's what our organization, the United States Institute Against Human Trafficking, is trying to do, and bring awareness, but not only bring awareness, Amy, but a call to action and get people to do something about it. I'm tired of people telling me that they care about kids, or, oh, this is an issue that I'm glad you're doing this, but I want people to get engaged in the fight, start doing something about it to make a difference in their own neighborhoods, their own communities. We need everybody to step up to the plate, so to speak, and do something to protect our kids.
Well, as you point out, the statistics back this up too, Kevin, that it's a huge problem, not just around the globe, but in the United States. So how do you even begin to make a dent, not just awareness, as you talk about, but action, and actually going so far as to see those numbers decrease and kids rescued from this plight and this awful position that they've been put in?
Well, that's a great question. I think your listeners should know that the United States, is ranked as one of the worst countries in the world for human trafficking. It's the Department of Justice has just came out with a recently released report by the State Department that we're one of the worst 3 countries in the world when it comes to human trafficking. So. People know that, and they're learning that the U.S. is the number 1 consumer of sex worldwide. So we are driving the demand as a society. So it's a supply answer to a demand problem. So we need to go after demand. So what we do at the Institute, we're using a lot of different types of methods to fight human trafficking. Technology is one of them. And I think we have a trafficking-free zone, which is basically where we try to get a services engagement at the community level to fight demand, meaning that we try to get everybody from politicians, law enforcement, the judicial system, schools, churches, hospitals, the whole community involved in this fight. And basically how you do that is it's about your sphere of influence. You let other people know that this is going on, and you enlist or you engage or you challenge, you encourage others to get involved in this fight, because everyone has a sphere of influence and they can make a difference in that particular, with that group of people. So we're getting really going after businesses and churches, again, all the different segments of society to do their part to bring awareness and then to implement policies and to do things that they can do in their particular area to make a difference. And we're seeing a lot of great things happening. So we're encouraged. We feel blessed. And we just got to get more people involved in this fight.
Well, as you say, it's one of those topics that maybe people, it's not that they don't care or don't want to care, but it's difficult to face facts. It's also really difficult to stare this evil in its face.
Yes.
And so when you go in and you make your pitch to companies and you try to explain to them the need, what is generally the response?
Well, it just depends. I think America's starting to wake up slowly, I think, but it's starting to actually hear what's going on and ask the questions. I think that's the first step, is when we go in somewhere and we explain to a business owner or general manager, someone that runs a company, here's the impact that human trafficking is having on not only your community, but your business. And we have different statistics and different analysis that we can share with them on how they can get involved and what they can do. So oftentimes it's met with surprise. Well, I didn't know this was going on, or this was a big problem in my community, or I didn't know that this could be affecting my business. So really it's kind of an educational process. And once they hear and understand that it is impacting their communities and their businesses, they ask questions. So that's the first step, is to get people engaged in asking questions. And then we can do trainings. We train in schools. We have videos for law enforcement. So we're just trying to equip all of the community to do what they can do. But we're starting to get a lot of interest in this, because I think people are now becoming aware, and they know our kids are at risk and they're endangered. So people are starting to wake up.
Kevin Malone is former general manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, left baseball, and is now fighting against sex trafficking of children in the United States with the U.S. Institute Against Human Trafficking. It's After Hours with Amy Lawrence on CBS Sports Radio. Have you been able to get Major League Baseball involved? Because it feels like if you can get athletes to use their platform, very often more people pay attention and they listen to what these athletes have to say.
That's a great question. Yes, we are. We've 2 weeks ago, I was in New York, as a matter of fact, with Deidre Pujols, the wife of Albert Pujols. They started an organization called Strike Out Slavery. So they're doing it this summer in 3 ballparks to try to bring awareness. They'll have a concert after the game, and the artists will talk about trafficking, and they'll try to get people to stay around and tell them about what's going on and how to get involved in human trafficking. So we did that in New York at the Mets ballpark, Citi Field, a couple of weeks ago. We're doing it in Kansas City in August, and then in September we're doing it out in Anaheim at an Angels game. So Albert has taken, and Deidre, his wife, they're really creating kind of a movement within the game. I'm a part of that. Our organization's a part of that. But I've also reached out to Commissioner Manfred, and I think they're listening. I think the current president and his daughter Ivanka, they're interested in trying to figure out how to eradicate human trafficking. I think they're reaching out to the major sports leagues to try to get them more and more involved. So it's starting to happen, Amy, but it's taken some time. But we just need America to wake up and to realize that our kids are really being targeted. And it's not throwaway kids. I can tell you, I've dealt with parents that are from upper middle class to wealthy, as well as the ones that are lower income families. This doesn't discriminate. This attacks all families in all socioeconomic, situations. So we just need to do all that we can do, and we need to teach our kids what to look for. Everyone needs to just know what the factors are and to become aware and educated on what they can do and what's going on right now in our cities and towns all across the country.
What happens with the kids when the kids are rescued, when they're pulled from these types of organizations and they're able to start a new life? I mean, how do you help them?
Well, that's very difficult because I can tell you the United States Institute Against Human Trafficking, we opened the first and only boys traffic safe home in America, and we opened it 2 years ago, and we've helped about 12 to 15 kids. We got a 10-year-old in about 3 months ago. He was sold for sex by his father since he was around 5 years old. So we're seeing young boys that are being sold. What we're seeing too in some of the larger cities is survival sex, kids that have run away from home, or LGBTQ kids that have been kicked out because their families are disowning them, that they're now out on the streets and are trying to figure out how to survive. So we reach out to all kids, and we're trying to do what we can. But what happens, Amy, most of the time is we have a problem in America because we don't have enough safe homes. We don't have enough rescue homes for these kids to go to. These are highly traumatized young people that have been through hell on earth. They need special treatment, special care, and we are blessed to be able to find those people. We're in the state of Florida where our home is, so we can get special care providers to come in to help these kids because they need all kinds of services, all kinds of treatments, and it's a challenge and it's expensive. So that's part of the problem. So we don't have enough safe homes, enough beds all across the country. These kids usually get placed in maybe a group home or they go into foster care. But here's the real problem, Amy. If you could figure this one out, please let me know. And I think any of your listeners that pray that we need to fix foster care because 60 to 70% of trafficked children are coming out of the foster care system. The foster care system is broke in every state, and we need to fix it because the kids are being lured or groomed or recruited out of foster care. So we've got a lot of work to do, and But I appreciate you asking. We just need a lot more beds, a lot more safe homes. We need the church to step up. The church has been behind the wheel, slow to respond. They're starting to respond now, and we're encouraged by that. But the church can step up and do something about fixing foster care and about helping these kids that have been trafficked to get to be healed and get the treatments and the care that they need so that they can, lead a life of productivity and be independent and be healthy. So that's one of our goals as well. So we definitely need a lot of prayer.
So for people who are hearing this and are moved and want to learn more, want to get involved, how can they do that, Kevin?
Please go to our website. We've created, I think, a very informative and educated type of website. It's www.usiaht.org. It stands for the United States Institute Against Human Trafficking. usiaht.org. You can come on there. You can call our offices. What we do is we work with people all over the United States. Amy, we can help you, train you, teach you, educate you, provide you all the tools that you need so that you can fight this in your own neighborhoods, your own communities. And if we can't do it, we'll find someone to help you. So we take every call and we try to help everybody that wants to get involved, and we can usually do that. And so please call us at the United States Institute Against Human Trafficking or go on our website. Again, it's usiaht.org, and we'll help you get involved, and we'll help you learn what you need to learn to be a difference maker in this fight against child sex trafficking.
Kevin Malone is a former general manager with the Los Angeles Dodgers, now pursuing his new passion. And Kevin, it's great to have you on the front lines. usiaht.org. I'll make sure I share that website as well. Thank you so much for a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Amy. God bless you. Take care.